like going to college. Kind of slow sometimes, but it's cool. It's cool. Oh, the group project. No problem. Just don't make me talk, please. I can do like anything else. Being honest, I think people overcomplicate college. It would be so much easier if they weren't so stupid. Welcome to the first episode of how you should study based on your MBTI type. My name is Eloy and today we will talk about the famous INTPs. Before we start, I'll let a disclaimer down below in the description and a timestamp as well in case you guys need it. So, okay, INTPs. What can I say about them? I love INTPs. They are just so funny. They are really famous for the lack of social skills, love for intellectual and abstract subjects, and for the time they spend on their own minds. INTPs are very logical people, always trying to find a solution for everything, even if it's just an idea. For us to understand a little better of how exactly an INTP works and what does this even has to do with study, we have to go over the cognitive functions of this personality type. Let's start with the dominant function, the introverted thinking. The dominant function is our comfort zone. The thinking is a judgment function. It will help us decide what exactly are we going to do with a new information. Once we got something new into our brains, we try to rationalize it and categorize it in some way. We try to do something with it. INTPs do this very well because this is their dominant function, and they are always trying to do this based on the thinking that it's a logic process. So they are always trying to find the relation between cause and effect about, well, they create a system where they can process all this information based on what is logical or not, and who decide this is INTPs themselves. That's why it's an introverted function. Introverted thinking helps INTPs to understand the world a little better. And the TI dominant leads us to our first study tip. What are the causes of it? What are the consequences? How exactly does this work for me? These are the questions an INTP has to ask themselves whenever they study. It will help an INTP to engage more with the subject. It will help you understand in a way that makes sense to your process system and also make it personal. This tip in special is not all about the subject you are studying, but also about the method. Ask yourself these questions before we start anything that you find the best way to do it for yourself, by yourself. Introverted thinking needs a significant time to be built. It's a slow process because it has to make sense. INTP will never build a huge stairway with a door in the end that leads us to nowhere. They just wouldn't do this. This also can be the reason why it seems so difficult to change the mind of an INTP, because they spend a lot of time judging and considering and categorizing and checking their information before they talk, because they wouldn't talk something they don't believe it's at least the minimal logic. So it can be a little tricky to just come to INTP and say, okay, you are wrong about this, because they have to go all over these checking points and go through all the process again, and this is not necessarily something they want to do. Despite the time they spend building this system, once it's ready, nothing can stop an INTP. Like, in my system, my checkpoints are all set. I just need to put new information in there, and very quickly I will find if this makes sense or not. You know, these times in class that you think there's no student in this class that understand a single word about what this teacher are talking about, that you think no one gets it, well, probably the INTP got it. They just has this quick process of thinking. You always see the famous, I am an INTP, I don't study, and I just get 10 all over the boards, because this is how it happens to me, but it's not like that. They are not lying, but this is not how it works. It's more like they spend so much time in the beginning that it just don't need to go over and over and over this process to understand a subject, because if it makes sense for them once, it will make sense for them twice. One time, it's perfect for them. And this process leads us to our next study tip. Always try to study before class. Yes, I'll just say that. I'm not saying for you to go all crazy about this. I actually doubt an INTP would do that, but I'm telling you to study 10 minutes before class, because it will help you build your system about that subject so much easier and faster. So, you know that moment in class that you just something click, in your mind and you think, I figure out everything about this subject. How you have to study to go well on the tests. How the teacher is doing the tests. You just have it all. And to get this moment earlier, you have to just study 10 minutes before every class. So do this. Your life will be so much easier. You can trust me about this. Let's talk about the INTP's stereotype and how exactly the dominant function relies on it. INTPs spend a lot of time building their system. They tend to be a little bit arrogant because they know they are doing a good work. They know what they're talking about. I mean, I wouldn't talk about a thing that just came from nowhere. I just check my opinion, it's right, and it's because of this. This arrogance of an INTP, it's very much related to this. Anyone who does a good job knows that have done a good job. For the INTP, this job is this system itself. But the system is not perfect. INTPs really wants to be perfect, but it's not. TI people in general, not just INTPs, but people with strong TI, they just love talking how right they are. They just love to be right. They like to debate about everything, explain to people why they are wrong. This little pleasure that exists in being right brings us the next tip. Make a lot of questions. Yes, you have to do every moment. Here's the thing. The best way to see if your process really makes sense is making questions. This list of questions. When you get it right, it's awesome because you're right. Good for you. Also, if you get it wrong, it will be exactly what you need to get it right. And once you got it, hardly you will do it wrong again. Our next cognitive function is the parent one. Extroverted intuition. Extroverted intuition is such a beautiful cognitive function. It has this shine about the intuitive way to collect information. You just got a lot of information coming to your brain and suddenly you just perceive enough to imagine possibilities. Intuition is an imaginative function. That's why I think it's beautiful. You can see a lot of different ways to do things, a lot of possibilities for the same question. You can see a lot of resolutions of things. It will spread for all of the places. Unfortunately, for an INTP, it's just the parent function. It means there's not strong as the TI, but it will help the introverted thinking works on the best way possible. And also, it will give a little bit of balance so INTPs can move forward and not just stay still on what they already know. For me, every personality has a superpower. Only INTPs has TI and E working together that way. Their superpower is the ability analyzing every goddamn thing. The first time I studied a little bit of MBTI and what exactly it's an INTP, I thought, oh my god, how complex is this? Like, mind of an INTP must be a difficult to understand, but now I think basically the opposite. INTPs has such a simple mind. For me, it's like an ability of seeing a map and point to one road that is the right one. I can see all possibilities, but I know very well that this one is the best. They know it's right because of the introverted thinking, but also they look for all possibilities because of their extroverted intuition to see everything but know what's best and what's best for themselves. This is an INTP superpower for me. Our next study tip. Always try to study with flowcharts. Flowcharts are some type of mind maps. I think you can say that. I'm not saying that INTPs wouldn't work well with mind maps. I think they would. But flowcharts gives an INTP the possibility to put all things that they are thinking about with only one rational way. Mind maps, it's like more messy thing because there are ideas all over the board and you don't necessarily need all these ideas. INTPs are good at choosing what ideas are the best for them. Do this by using flowcharts because seriously it would be so much better than any type of study that you will do for trying to really understand something. Now I'll talk about only the extroverted intuition. As I said, the extroverted intuition is always trying to put the TI forwards. They're always pushing the TI to know more, to discover more. You can learn about this, you can see about this. Have you ever considered that? So this movement is the extroverted intuition working and and working well. Because of this, okay, everything can happen of the extroverted intuition also came with it some everything is going to be alright. Not necessarily with this way, but it's a sense that everything can get better, everything can get easier. So INTPs are very good to find solutions for all kind of problems. It's a very unique way to see the world. So their solutions are always very elegant. And also INTPs are not the kind of work harder. They has these fabulous ideas. They want to help. They see better ways to do it, not only just because it's the best, but because it's more logical as well. Here is our next study tip. Try to study based on different sources. Here is the same. I doubt an INTP would thousands of books for just one test. But I'm saying that don't go with just what you learn on the class or what you learn on the book, what you discuss with your classmates. Really try to mix these things because it will stimulate you more. It will make you engage more with the subject. Learn more about the thing that you're learning. The thing here is try to not limit yourself, especially if you don't understand at first. I have a doubt of how exactly does this work. You can see YouTube videos. You can ask a friend, the one that you know that has studied. You can ask your teacher to explain in a different way. Just don't limit yourself when you're studying because it will make things a little more funnier, a little spicy on it. Okay, now that we understand a little bit of the TI and E, we go to our next cognitive function, the child one, the introverted sensing. Sensing works just like intuition. They are trying to get new information. They are trying to get new things. They are trying to perceive the world. The sensing does this with our 5 senses. So the sensing is how we connect physically with the world. And the introverted way to do this is our experiences. SI rely on things that we have already lived. The child is where we have a lot of space to work. It's not unusual that things just get out of our control. This type of situation that we have out of control moment and things get a little bit unstable. INTPs can get into a TI-SI loop. Sometimes INTPs just get this system working based only on their experiences and they jump the extroverted intuition because they're using the SI to justify the TI. Okay, that makes a lot of sense because, well, I lived this. I've been there. I know this because my life, I just saw this happening. They lose the ability to see all chances and opportunities and possibilities. An INTP friend, when things get completely out of her control, she's like in shock. You can see there is something going on her mind and it's like she's about to blow and you have no idea why or how because all of this, all the looping is in her head. So yeah, they tend just to panic. My next tip is, for God's sake, stop looking to the problem and start creating little solutions. In other words, have mini goals. If you have a problem and you are good at finding solutions for things, why in the name of the Lord would you don't use it? See what the problem is and what exactly are the mini problems that are causing all this pressure moment. That's the way you get over this. The negative TISI loop. The biggest problem that are happening there, sometimes the problem, it's a little thing that stays behind that you can't find a solution and you can work it better after this. NTP can be seen as a very lazy type. They spend the time on their minds and they just don't want to get things done. I mean, they love ideas, they love their mind, they love their system, the logic. Fact doesn't bring nothing for them. Okay, you give me a fact, what am I supposed to do with it? It's a fact, doesn't change anything. I can get this and put into my system to make it better. Ideas make things better. Concepts make things better because you can get all these things together and repeat it in different moments, and that's why it's a system. Build something new and try to construct it, construct things based on ideas. Facts are not good things for INTPs. They're like, Okay, my next study tip here is try to find a way to memorize things. Yeah, INTPs tend to underestimate some types of study methods because they are always thinking like, hey, this information for me makes absolutely no sense, so why on earth would I keep it? I can put it in my system. I can't work with it. And to be honest, in college we have a lot of things that we just have to learn because you have to learn. Not all the things that we see in college make sense. We have to just memorize some things that are just facts for the sake of facts. In case of med school, that's my example. We have these anatomy classes on just our first year. It's absolutely just memorize where the things are in our body. Didn't even have where to put new information in, understanding, connect this to this, and like, oh my god, this makes so much sense because we were on the first year. These kind of things, we have to do these classes to get, the graduation, even if you don't like to. You have to get one simple method of memorization that you will be good at it, that you can rely on. Use it until the last day of your college. Don't underestimate repetition methods or memorization methods. So finally, on our last cognitive function, extroverted feeling. Feeling works like thinking. It's a judgment function. It will help us make decisions. It will help us categorize and analyze things. Feeling, it's a way to do this based on our values or our moral, based on what is good or bad or what is right or wrong. The extroverted feeling is when this good or wrong thing comes from the things around us, like the society that we live. What happened here is that the last function is the last for a reason. We are not that good at it. For an INTP, they can be seen as arrogant or naive also because of the extroverted feeling. They don't have this, okay, I'm being socially awkward right now, because they don't see it that well. A lot of the times that our last function shows is like the worst times at all. It's such a vulnerable moment. For an INTPs is always this social moment, because what is right or wrong not necessarily means makes sense or not. Things can be good and bad and be logical as well. So my tip to the last function is you should study alone. Not always. Introverted thinkers love to debate about things, and when you are under pressure, don't force yourself to be in study groups. I'm not here to tell you have to do things because it's right, because we live in a society. People, you have to be communicative and blah, blah, blah. I'm not here to tell you that. If you have a problem, you are under pressure, don't go against your inner self, being in time alone and study alone, because this is your moment. You don't have to be vulnerable in a bad moment, especially when you're talking about study. We get to our last study tip, this vulnerability of a last function. We always talk INTPs with social moments and feelings and all the things that I just said, but there are also other moments that are stressful and let INTPs vulnerable, like being under pressure at all. Like sometimes we have all deadlines for the same day and we just have to do a lot. Study as hell, and sometimes just appears a new information. It came from nowhere. We just have something more to do that we weren't expecting. And that's the moment an INTP can be like, as I say, they just are in shock. They don't know what to do. And I'm not saying that you can handle it. INTPs, yes, can do a lot of things under pressure. They can do whatever they want to do and they have to do because of the deadline, but I mean, they just don't do well with unexpected and under pressure together. INTPs just, they are chaotic. And you can prevent that to happen having a schedule where you know all the important deadlines that you have. Don't be vulnerable. You can't prepare yourself before it happens. I will not spend time here explaining to you how to make this, because you are an INTP. If you ask the right questions, you will get the perfect schedule made it for you. I think that's it for today. Just don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. I will come here every week talking about study and MBTI, and I promise I will talk about INTPs as soon as possible. Bye bye!